Hi friends, the whole world is talking about one word. It is Corona, or COVID-19. I think we all are well aware of this epidemic, deadly virus. It is not a blessing. It is a catastrophic disease. Unfortunately, some people have not identified still the true face of this pandemic virus. They have been trying to play their stupid games, even in this critical moments too. Usually, we don't like to express our views in relation to the religious matters. But some of recent video releasing have induced us to do so, though we like it or not. Because the silence at this juncture will not be a wise decision. Our silence may help them to establish wrong information about COVID-19 and discourage people to take timely preventive actions. First, watch this video. Then, you will understand how these people have seen the COVID-19.
According to the Quran, and in verse number 7 in chapter 32, Allah states that in relation to Himself, He says, الَّذِي أَحْسَنَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقَ. That Allah has made good. He has perfected whatever He's created. Whatever you see in the realm of creation is good. Whatever you see in the realm of creation is a blessing. It's Allah's creation. There is no bad according to the Islamic worldview. Evil doesn't exist. It's non-existent. When you look at your surroundings, whatever is in the realm of creation, it's Allah's creation. This is our worldview. This is our outlook on the world. And now enter the coronavirus. Is this something separate from Allah's jurisdiction of creation? Of course not. This too is a created thing. Allah has created it, and therefore it's a blessing and it's good. Well, this may be a man-made phenomenon. It may be, although I don't want to enter any conspiracy theories, it's still not substantiated, but it's a possibility. But even if it is, did man make this virus or construct it independent from Allah or not? With Allah's satisfaction legislatively? No. But providentially, was Allah's satisfaction in the takwini sense there? Of course it was. Was Allah's permission? Was it on a par with Allah's will? Of course it was. Could they create it minus Allah? Of course they couldn't. The fact that it has been realized in this realm of creation, it's a blessing. But through Tawheed, we have to benefit from it. Okay. Theoretically, that may sound a bit difficult for us to grasp. If everything is good, so what's all the fear? Why are we so scared of this virus? Why do we grieve over it? Why do we call it bad? Why should we be scared when it's Allah's creation? When the medical experts say, wash your hands and give a number of instructions, keep your distance from people, avoid congregations, we have to, assuming they are trustworthy experts in the field, it is what they say holds probativity. It's hujjah upon us, and we have to listen. Because listening, part of the Sharia dictates that you have to listen to the trustworthy experts in any given domain. Here, it's the medical experts. Now, we're all journeying towards perfection, but we want to journey towards perfection in virtue, not vice. If you don't listen to the medical experts and thus compromise your Sharia, then what you get, based on cause and effect, is your own doing. And that we have to refrain from. We have to maximize our journeying. Now, you may make a mistake and you may suffer from that mistake, but then you have to take lesson from it again. But if you don't, it's going to be a downward spiral. During the early stages of the Islamic Revolution of Iran, the American embassy in Iran, it was realized amongst the students that it's acting as a network of espionage. And they went in and their conjecture proved to be correct. And they took a number of hostages in, the so-called hostage crisis during the presidency of President Carter. Carter then sent a fleet of planes and helicopters to rescue these hostages. What happened? They encountered a sandstorm, and many of the American soldiers and planes, they crashed and they died. Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayh, in the speech given after the event, he said, who made those helicopters crash? And he said, the sand made them crash, not us. And the sand were given this duty from Allah. They were ma'amur from Allah. The sand. Look how sand can give so much benefit for some people, even for the other party, even for Carter. He should have taken lesson from this, and maybe he benefited from it. But the sand were Allah's representatives. The sand are a creation of Allah. Likewise with the virus. This is also has a representation from Allah, is acting on behalf of Allah. We just have to make sure we are amongst those who benefited, so we enhance our perfection in virtue, and God forbid, not advance our perfection in vice. And therefore, yes, these are burdens, but don't call them bad. You can benefit, you can grow through them. In relation to evil, when it's used in the language of the Sharia, things being haram, things being bad to do, here this pertains to the realm of the soul. When you commit an action in the physical realm, this action will lead you to become more distanced from Allah or more close to Allah. If you become more distanced to Allah, the Sharia gives that label as evil, as bad. But in the realm of creation, whatever you see in the external realm, it's Allah's creation. It's all good. When Lady Zainab alayha salam says, "Ma ra'aytu illa jamila," what she's looking at, it's a massacre, it's stabbings, killings, but it's all Allah's actions, and it's beautiful for her. Yes, the people in Karbala and what they did, those people become more and more distanced from Allah. It's evil for them. But from a Tawheedi worldview, it's all good. It just depends now whether you take that lesson from that physical action, which is Allah's creation, or you don't. It's all in your hands. So with every burden you encounter, you reach a two-way junction.
In this video, he suggests us to evaluate the virus through religious viewpoints as well as scientific aspects. Very simply, he says this is God-created gift. At the same time, he proposed to follow medical advices also. By placing a big weight on his idea to convince people to accept this as God's creation, what he expects really. Now it's very clear. They are trying to make use of this pandemic virus to promote their religious agenda. This video is only an evidence for such efforts are being employed.
أمر الله في انتشار هذا الفيروس واضح. كيف نعرف أن أمر الله في هذا الفيروس واضح؟ الصين، وهي الدولة التي بدأ الانتشار لفيروس كورونا من هذا البلد العريق المترامي الأطراف، والذي يضم سبع البشرية، أكثر من مليار من البشر في هذا البلد. هذا البلد، الحكم في هذا البلد طغى وفرض على أكثر من 1,000,000 من المسلمين الحصار والإقامة الجبرية. وبدأ الصحفيون في تلك البلاد يستهزئون بنقاب النساء المسلمات ويجبرون الرجال على أكل لحم الخنزير وعلى شرب الخمر. الله فرض عليهم مرضا، هذا المرض أدى إلى حصار 40 مليون منهم. والنقاب الذي استسخروا منه فرضه ربنا عبر الدولة نفسها وعبر المسؤولين أنفسهم على الرجال والنساء معا. الإسلام منع الناس من أكل الحشرات، استهزأوا بهذا الأمر. وإذا بهذا المرض ينتقل من عالم الحيوان، إما عالم الخفاش أو عالم النمل أو عالم الحيات، بالنتيجة انتقل من ذلك العالم إلى عالم الإنسان وأخاف البشرية أجمعهم.
But I believe there are some of good men still live on this earth. They are the people who help to retain God's good name. Just listen to them. What he says about the catastrophic virus.
It is not a joke when Mecca and Medina have had to take such stringent measures. Subhanallah. I've been reading very, very deeply because it's a matter that concerns us and our congregations and the Muslim Ummah and humanity at large. We don't want to see our loved ones struggling simply because we were foolish in the manner we gave advice. We thought we were very pious. I want to take you to an incident that occurred with me in 1996. I was in Hajj and the fire was raging in Mina. And you know what? I heard the authorities, some of the policemen and the firemen saying on their, internal walkie-talkie system and whatever they had, they were speaking to each other saying, we have to evacuate the whole of Mina within 2 hours. Because the fire is actually raging, the gas canisters are exploding, the wind is blowing very, very hard in the wrong direction. Wrong meaning it's going to cause damage. And so these people started with their loud hailers telling people to vacate. I recall vividly something I'll never forget in my life. A certain senior scholar from this part of the world was telling the brothers and sisters in the tents, my brothers, my sisters, read Surah Yasin and nothing will happen to you. Wallahi, you don't need to move. The fire can never reach out to you, meaning can never reach you, because you are hujjaj, you're making dua to Allah, you're crying to Allah, and you're reading Yasin. How can the fire get to you? Subhanallah. If you look at it from a religious perspective, that person did not really think what he was saying. Although he was a scholar, he didn't know, with all the knowledge he had, how to translate that knowledge, bearing in mind the reality on the ground. When if a person were to be dying in hunger, the Quran says, فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ فِي مَخْمَصَةٍ غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ. If a person is really dying and they need to engage in or consume something totally prohibited, then they will not be to blame. Wow, subhanallah. Why? Because the prohibition of the death is far worse than the prohibition of wasting a human life when you could have saved it, is far worse than the prohibition of the pork or the swine. May Allah never let us see those days. But trust me, there will be scholars from us who will tell you, die and don't eat it, because they will find it too heavy in their hearts to ever let a day come when you have to consume that swine. I don't blame them on one hand, but on the other hand, if it were to come, they cannot issue their own feelings when there is a clear-cut evidence in the Quran and the Sunnah that you are allowed to do this to save your life. And you should. So on one hand, it's painful to see Mecca and Medina turn away those who are coming for Umrah, possibly even for Hajj. May Allah let this matter resolve before Hajj. Say Ameen. So my brothers and sisters, it is absolutely important for us to know, it pains the heart, but we have to make crucial decisions that people will not like us for. They will hate us. They will think, what are you doing? Aren't you worshipping Allah? But we are worshipping Allah more, perhaps not exactly in the same place, because of how this virus is spreading and what the experts have told us. That same brother, I got up immediately after him and I took the loud hailer and I said, my brothers, and I was a young boy, my brothers, my sisters, there are people in the other tents who have read Yasin. They are also Hujjaj. They were crying to Allah and they died and they were burnt to death after having read the Yasin. It does not mean that you're going to read it so automatically Allah's going to save you. Allah's going to tell you, didn't I give you 2 legs for you to walk towards Makkah with while the fire was raging on? Many people understood it. They started packing their things and walking towards Makkah. You won't believe it. I remember helping some of the elder folks. And when I came out, I saw the same alim who was talking in the tent. He was way ahead all of us with a flag saying, brothers, let's go to Makkah. Let's go to Makkah. And I'm thinking, and like I said, I'll never forget it. It was only because of his love for Hajj and his love for Allah that he gave totally wrong advice. The next day when we came back, all the tents were burnt down. A few days later, in fact, we went to Arafah the next day. The following day when we came back, we were in ashes basically with makeshift facilities in Mina. Some of you who were there might remember this. The same is happening now. People are telling us, no need, let's gather in bigger numbers, let's go to the masjids, let's pack it. You know, if Allah's written maut for you, it's going to come and so on. Well, to be honest with you, why don't you give the children knives to play with then and tell them if Allah's written them for them to slice themselves, they will do, and kill themselves, they will do. And if He's not written it, it won't happen, because you know that it's your duty to keep the knives away. The same way this virus is a knife. Don't let it spread to everyone and give it, because